Nigeria is currently experiencing one of its lowest rainfalls in years. The rainfall of 2024 started late in certain parts of the country, and then the August break started earlier in most parts of the countries, and now farmers are just going about shouting, what is going on? Why should they be shouting? It's just rain now. It's just rain. But it's not just rain. Agriculture is one of the main economic mainstays of Nigeria. The rains are not there to help nourish the farms and also give water to livestock, then there is a big red alert out there. In this video, we'll explore the reasons behind the scarce rainfall that we're currently experiencing in Nigeria, its connection to climate change, and also its impact on food security in the country. Nigeria is a West African country and is also known as the giant of Africa, economic-wise, people-wise, wise, and all sectors. The climate of Nigeria is typically tropical, so we have two major seasons in Nigeria. We have the wet season and then the dry season. The dry season is accompanied by the dusting northeast winds from the Sahara Desert, and it's usually dry. There are lesser rainfalls, more sun, and lower humidity during the season. This season usually falls between October and April each year. Harmattan also appears during this season, and it usually falls between late November to late January or early February of every year. For me personally, the dry season is not my best season. I love the wet season. Wet season is also referred to as the rainy season. It usually falls between April and September of each year. Nigeria has different geopolitical zones, and each of these zones have like different climatic factors. So for instance, northern Nigeria has a shorter rainy season which runs from June to September. We have like a longer dry season which could even start from anywhere from like October to February or March. Annual rainfall averages in this region range from 400 millimeter to 800 millimeter each year. Central Nigeria has a moderate climate with longer rainy season which usually runs from May to October, and it receives about 800 millimeter to 1,500 millimeter of rainfall every year. Nigeria, which includes the coastal region and northern Nigeria, has a typical tropical climate with heavy rainfall exceeding 1,500 millimeter every year. The rainy season in this region can extend from March to November each year. At the beginning of the year, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, also known as NIMET, came out to give the meteorological predictions of the year, which is normal for them. That is what they're meant to do. So they came and told Nigerians that part of Nigeria are going to experience lower than usual rainfall this year. At the time that NIMET made this prediction, it sounded gibberish, and a lot of people didn't really take it to heart till the evidence started showing itself, because we are now asking ourselves, where are the rains? And here's what the farmers have to say about it.
There was a short-time cessation of rainfall in Kaduna and Jos, especially in Jos. It affected farmers from report we've seen and we've heard on social media and collaborating with friends, on the farming, the rainfall this year. Jos experienced cessation that really affected them, especially those that plant on upland, like those that plant rice. You understand, they experience damages to their crops because of the rain. So it happened that it comes, all this you can't predict. It comes to them unaware, you understand. So they put fertilizer on the farm. After applying fertilizer on their farms, the rain ceased. So that was what really led to, you understand, the massive destruction of their crops, especially rice and maize. I think women are crying and showing it on Facebook, and how they don't think they will have good production this year.
What's the connection between climate change and the scarce rainfall that we're currently experiencing? So climate change is a long-term shift of temperatures and weather patterns, and in the last 20 years weather patterns and temperatures have shifted drastically, way more than usual, and that means that there is a call for concern, because it's not meant to be so. Climate change is supposed to happen, but not at this drastic rate. Climate change has specifically affected Nigeria in various ways, and I will list like some of the ways that it has affected Nigeria. So we're having more intense heat waves happening back to back. We're having more floods, intense floods happening back to back. We have We're having more coastal erosions, we're having rising sea levels, and people living in coastal communities having to migrate farther away from the river, having to migrate farther away from their homes because of rising sea levels, which is affecting the output from the farms. And it's not been funny. Agriculture is one of Nigeria's economic mainstay, and if agriculture is threatened, it's a big issue in Nigeria. We are an agriculture reliant economy, and we depend heavily on the food that comes from our farms. Nigeria has 70.8 million hectares of agricultural farmland with maize, cassava, guinea corn, yam, beans, millet, and rice in its major crop. Agriculture contributes over 20% of Nigeria's GDP, and it employs over 70% of Nigeria's current workforce. So that means agriculture is not something to be played with. According to the March 2024 Cadre Harmonized Analysis, an estimated 4.8 million people in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states will be insecure at the peak of the 2024 rain season. Reports predict low harvest due to the dry spell, as well as high food prices and persistent insecurity in the areas. Irregular rainfall patterns is already a problem and is already leaning towards like scarce rainfall. But that does not mean that we should just let our problems weigh us down. We have to think of solutions, and fast solutions at that. So what are those solutions? Here are some solutions that farmers can look into. Sustainable agricultural practices can help farmers to mitigate against this climate crisis, and also help them to build resilient farming techniques, so that when climate change is coming on its own, they're like, well, here we are, we're ever ready for you, and we're here to make sure that food is not affected by the climate crisis. So crops like millet, granules, cassava, sweet potatoes, and sorghum are some of the farm produce that should be like top of the list for farmers right now. And I come from northern Nigeria, and I'll tell you that there has been a significant rise in planting of sweet potatoes because, well, it's drought resistant. Rainwater harvesting, these have been done like for years, but with the advancement of like mechanized farming and all, people do not like harvest as much water as they used to before. Rainwater harvesting is something that farmers really need to look into. So the small rain that falls, harvest every single drop because it goes a long way. Organic farming, adjusting planting seasons. Now, something funny happened. So NIMET is really like the god of farmers, like put it that way, because they're the ones that come with the meteorological reports, and that's also supposed to help farmers plan their planting seasons. But I would say, for as an average Nigerian, NIMET are not doing enough when it comes to forecasting. And like giving like early warning signals, they are not doing enough, because so most of the times these reports just end up like in front pages of newspapers and maybe a few headlines in the news, but they don't really go down to like they don't really go down to like the smallholder farmers in communities where newspapers are like luxury. So where newspapers are like luxury, and they don't really do a lot of educational campaigns when it comes to like early warning signals. So for instance, in Nigeria this year, there were reports that, okay, the farming season is going to start late because rainfalls in parts of Nigeria was going to come later than usual. So yeah, it's normally like also like traditionally for the farmers, they usually wait for when the rains come. So when some of them saw like the first, second, third rains, they thought, okay, now the rains have come, let's go start farming. So they went and started farming and all. And then there's usually August break. So the Meteorological Institute, that is the agency, that is NIMET, will tell them, okay, this is when the August break is going to happen. And then when the August break happens like this, so you guys can have like 2 farming seasons. So you make sure that you plant at this time, and then that break, you're like harvesting or like getting ready for like the second half of the planting season. But NIMET did not come out with that information on time till the early August break happened, and farmers were like, where's the rain? Where are the rains? Where are the rains? Where are the rains? And then that's when I make you like, oh, there's actually like an early August break. So the rains are going to cease for a while, and you guys should make sure that you're getting ready for the second part of the planting season. We're like, we already put seeds in the ground, and you didn't tell us this early enough, and the rains even came late. So what now happens to the crops? And now what happens to the crop, or like what happens to the crops and the farms that we need this rain to help nourish and ensure that they come out? These are the issues. So in as much as like adjusting planting seasons are good, there's still like a huge disconnect between like NIMET and other agencies that are meant to like help farmers predict or adjust their planting seasons. Climate forecasting, this also like something that is also that is also like NIMET could like help out with, because there's a huge disconnect, as I earlier said. And even if I would say, even if like the technologically advanced me will say, oh, farmers should look into like climate forecasting apps and all, but the real truth in Nigeria is, how many farmers can afford to have climate forecasting apps? How many farmers even have like mobile smartphones that could even help them like have those climate forecasting apps? So for me, I'm just like saying the truth out there. I would say, oh, I have climate forecasting apps, but it's not realistic. A lot of farmers in Nigeria do not have that. That's like a huge lottery to them. So that's where like these government agencies and also like civil society organizations, NGOs are like really into helping farmers create better output, could now step in and see what they could do, more educational campaigns. What are they going to do to ensure that early warning signals are like real early warning signals, and not just something that is on paper that someone that is in an interior village in Kaduna does not know about. So there should be like a bridge, and that bridge is not there right now. As much as problems actually exist right now when it comes to like helping farmers create better output in the midst of the climate crisis, there have been like several programs and initiatives that have been set up to help farmers become resilient in the face of the crisis. Dear gentle viewers, have you noticed any changes in the rainfall patterns in your area? Has food supply gone up or has it gone down in your area? Is the rainfall affecting food production in your area? I would like to know, and I would love to know in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts about this, and also not just in Nigeria, also across the world. If you're watching this from any part of the world, has rainfall patterns reduced or increased? Also, don't forget to subscribe for more content on environmental issues, climate action, and sustainability. Yes, rainfall is becoming more unpredictable in recent years and in recent times, but that does not mean that we should sit back, fold our hands, and wait for the climate crisis to dictate to us what is going to happen. Instead, we are the ones in charge of our future, and we are the ones in charge of our development, and we have to step up to ensure that we are resilient in the midst of the climate crisis. Thank you very much for watching this video, and remember that you can be the change that you want to see. Don't forget to share this video with other people that you feel will learn a lot from the content that I've just shared. From me, Joanne of Kaduna, signing out.